It's the Abundance Show with your coach, Sean Q. Your weekly hangout with master coaches, thought leaders, and elite healers here to share with you powerful techniques you can use to change the world. Now, live on tape from Colorado Springs, it's Sean Q.
What's up, Sean? I am loving this, loving the TV, the format, everything. Super excited to do this with you, man. Oh, yeah, yeah, no, man, kids are a trip. Kids are a trip. It's interesting. I think that most people are not qualified to be parents. Actually, it's actually a really fascinating thing because I think a lot of people, and I listen to the youth sometimes, and I'm just like shocked because they're just like, yeah, I'll get married. Yeah, we'll have some kids. And it's just so automated because I think it's just like so it's like pre-programmed in our brain. But I'm like, dude, here's my advice to everyone who doesn't have kids. Go spend not even like a day, like go spend a proper 2 weeks with someone who has kids. And then you'll know what's up. But other than that, like you just think you're romanticizing something that's sometimes not so romantic. Yeah. Right. Yes. Right. Uh, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Oh gosh, I think one of my first mentors ever was Sam Ovens, and he told me to get this like what the hell do they call it? The Aura ring. And so I bought the Aura ring. They're like, you have to have great sleep if you want to be a great entrepreneur. You need great sleep. They're like, monitor your sleep. I'm like, okay. So I did that, and I'm like, this is useless. Like, you guys clearly don't have kids. My kids are kicking me in the middle of the night. I get up like 3, 4 times every night, and there's nothing I can do about it. So like, this is clearly not dad friendly. Mm. Well, it's interesting, man. I've lived a pretty interesting life where um I used to live in an electrical closet with no hot water, no showers, no windows. So we started when I say we started from the bottom, we started from the bottom. I mean, there were times where it's just I mean, I would literally be in my car looking in between the seats for back then. You might not remember this. There was change, like pennies and nickels and dimes, and I'd be looking for like money for like the dollar menu for like McDonald's. So like we started pretty humbly. Um, and then we kind of bootstrapped to get to the top of the game. But in retrospect, even last night, I asked my nephew at the dinner table, I'm like, what do you want to be when you grow up? He's like, I want to be a neurosurgeon. I'm like, why? He's like, "They make a lot of money." And I'm like, "Ah, man, like, I yes, okay, we've made millions coaching, but honestly, I'll tell you something. This is, like, not great marketing, but it's the truth. I can argue that I was maybe happier when I was, uh, uh, when I went through a transformation. I was like, I was like a degenerate, I had a lot of addiction issues, very overweight, crippling anxiety disorder. Ended up half dead in the hospital um, from a very toxic marriage. And I went through, a cleanse. I was kind of like born again. I lost 50 pounds, went organic, got rid of my bad friends, got rid of my crippling anxiety disorder, ended up getting a job, my first real ever job for a non for profit kind of company as head of their marketing because I had messaged them because they would keep emailing me stuff. I'm like, dude, your emails suck. Like your website's terrible. This is why. This is why. And I sent them a Zoom video. I'm like, this is like doing an audit on their funnel. I'll be like, this is what you need to change. This is why this isn't working. And they were stuck at around about 300K, and we got them to a good seven-figure number with some tweaking their marketing, their messaging, and their social proof, and all their ethical principles of persuasion. They were paying me after taxes. I was getting about 5,000 a month, and we were check to check. I mean, at the end of the month, after paying, the apartment and all the bills, there was 0 cents left over. I mean, literally nothing. And I'll tell you something, we were very happy, very, very happy. I mean, now, you do as a coach, you make 5,000, you make 5,000 in the next hour kind of thing. But, I'll tell you, we were very, very happy and content. And I'll tell you is because we were, giving so much in the sense where like I told you, we're working for a non for profit. So the impact was so big and it was so fulfilling that I think that's the true meaning of happiness. And I think a lot of people think that money does that to them, and it really doesn't. You just have to look at Hollywood to see that. You see that how terrible they're doing, how miserable they are, how so many of them suicidal, drug overdoses, endless divorces. They have all the money in the world, but I have found in my experience that true happiness comes from giving, and so that's why we teach people to make more, to give more to their families, communities, and favorite charities. Hence, making the world a better place. So that's just my experience on that. I feel like a lot of people, to take a step back, right? First of all, a lot of people have money mindset issues. Now, I have a very unique kind of history. I'm an entrepreneur. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. My family is 7, 8, 10 generations back entrepreneurs. All my uncles, all my aunts. I have 7 uncles, 8 aunts, 8 uncles, 7 aunts. All my cousins, everyone, 99% is an entrepreneur. I grew up. My dad was the first person to bring the dollar store concept to Connecticut, which is where I grew up. So in the weekends, I'd be cashiers, and on a busy day like Christmas season or something, as a kid, I'm counting, like $10,000, to put in the safe. We're doing like 10, 20,000 a day, like in the busy seasons, and I'm like the cashier outside as a kid. And so, like, I never had a money scarcity issue, like mindset issue, because I grew up handling a lot of money as a cashier. And so I always, and my dad, when he came to this country in the 70s in New York with my mom, they had no money and it was winter. And they sat in this Lincoln Town Car, which is one of my favorite cars, if not my favorite car. It was stuck in the snow. And my dad and his brothers sat on the trunk to put weight on it, and then the car got unstuck. And then the driver came out and thanked my dad and gave him $1. And my dad said, "Wow, this is the greatest country in the world. You can never go hungry here." And he's right. And so I've always he had that mindset. I always had that mindset that if you work hard and you have some skills, making money will never be a problem. I think a lot of people have that issue because they're wired a little differently. They're wired. They have kind of the golden handcuffs from some 9 to 5 um, genetic issues. So I haven't had that issues, but the one of the issues that we've had is a lot of people, including myself. How did I get into this industry? Network marketing. How did I get into this industry? I had to sell my car to get my first ever mentor, who I actually reached out to yesterday. And where did I find this MLM opportunity? I found it on Craigslist. And why was I looking on Craigslist? I was desperate, broke, had no idea what to do with my life. And I think a lot of people, I mean, I think a lot of people get into this industry because something went wrong. I mean, when we were growing up, internet wasn't even around. Nobody grew up thinking I'm going to be a digital marketer, I'm going to be a coach or this or that. This industry didn't exist. Um, so I think a lot of people come into this industry who are not entrepreneurs, and that's a problem because they lack entrepreneurial skill sets. And the problem with that is that you don't know how to um, market, you don't know how to like serve, you don't know how to keep the money. So these are some things that we try to help with because I think it's important to run a business. Well, well, issues is a bit rude. I don't mean it like that. Not the no, I mean that's rude of me. I don't mean it like that. But what I mean to say is that a lot of people have a 9 to 5 mindset, so they're very risk adverse. They don't look. Here's the like. I'm trying to think of a movie, but like here's the perfect analogy. It's like if somebody was to like um talk to someone in like a different world who's already been through this world and be like, what's the secret to like success? What is the secret? And there's only one person who knows, and they tell you one thing. It's like you just have to believe that you can do it. Because that's really all it is. I mean, it's really just 90% like that belief. I'll never forget like when I got my start in MLM, right? Which is a nightmare, by the way. But all in a way, it's beautiful, and in a way, it's a nightmare. But um, I was on the phone every day, like trying to make sales every day for 30 days. Hey, what's up? My name's Akbar, and yeah, and I got this great opportunity, and I wanted to talk to click. And every day I was getting rejected, and every day like I wasn't making a sale. I'm like, this sucks, and I'm like, I'm ready to give up again. And I'll never forget that kind of almost maniacal moment I had in the mirror, and I kind of had this smile, almost like like from the movie Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. And I had this smile. I'm like, wait a minute, oh my god, all these people are making it here in the MLM world. Why am I? And I'm not. Wait a minute. That means, and I felt like this was divine. That means that it's possible. That means that it's not the system, it's me. I'm doing something wrong. And then I said to myself, and I just had this moment where I felt like reborn. I'm like, wait a minute, I am going to make this work or I'm going to die trying. And I think it was the first time in my life I didn't give myself a choice. I literally said, I'm going to make this work or die trying. Like, I'm not giving up. I'm not doing anything else. This is it. And I had acquired that sitting there penniless, broke. I had already become a millionaire that moment. I had already acquired that success right then and there. And it was such a beautiful moment. And so I think that's really the only way that you find success is to actually acquire it before you get it. Believe you have to like you see like the problem is right. A lot of people like they'll come into it, and I'll tell people I'll instruct my sales team as well. And if I'm talking to anyone, I'll tell them the same thing. I'll be like, dude, people on because I've listened to sales calls. People like, okay, okay, I'll try it. Okay, let's see, because we offer like super strong guarantees, right? And then we'll say, no, 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 you can't do that. It's not going to work. You cannot come into this thinking, okay, let's see, I'll try. Okay, we'll try for a few weeks. If it works, great. If not, then well, we'll leave. It's let me save you some weeks. It's absolutely not going to work. You have to go in excited, be like, oh my god, this is going to work. I am going to make a success out of this. Let's go collect that. It's done. It's fact. It is fact that it's going to happen. There is we're starving. There's absolutely an apple bush deep in that forest in the middle. There absolutely is. We're going to go get it. It's fact. Not that maybe I guess we'll try walking a little bit and looking for that apple tree. Maybe it's there. Maybe it's not. No, it's freaking there. and we're gonna go get it, and we're gonna go eat. And you know what I'm saying? And so that's what I mean. Yeah, man. I mean, look, I think we're our biggest enemies. I think that in unfortunately, like, I mean, us, like, I was born and raised in America. I'm a big patriot. I think America's the greatest country, with all due respect to everyone else. It's just that we were born and raised there, and I'm a big freedom junkie. However, every country has their own issues. For example, I'm in Australia, and I'll tell you something: the food laws here are a hell of a lot better. I'll tell you very honestly. For example, in America, we have soda, and sodas and things like that have this absolutely terrible, um, call it chemical, high fructose corn syrup. This thing is a killer. It's poison. A lot of our foods in America have poison in it, really. And a lot of those things are outlawed in many other countries, including Australia, England. You don't see any high fructose corn syrup here. You go to soda, they have natural cane sugar, which is, still not great for you, but it's not like advanced poison. So I think a lot of people, their environmental factors are slowing them down, what they're eating, the lack of movement, um, and also the social media that they consume. As an entrepreneur, we're not here to consume; we're here to create. You are who you hang out with. So I think that the environment plays a lot of factors in from everything, from what we eat, from what we see, from who do we hang out with. I mean, dude, I was a bum for so long. I was eating junk food. I had my name pretty much in the parking lot of McDonald's, Wendy's, and Burger King. I had a special order for each one of those places. I was hanging out with party animal rock stars. I don't want to call them losers because that's mean. I'll just call myself a loser at that time. And so, watching a lot of movies, staying up late at night in Dunkin' Donut parking lots, going to late midnight shows and movies, hanging out with these party guys, eating junk food all the time. Like, when I went from hanging out at McDonald's to hanging out at Trader Joe's, which is an organic grocery store, things changed. When I went from hanging out at the movie theaters and Dunkin' Donuts all night to like the libraries, things changed. You know what I mean? So I think that when I was working in the ghetto, which I really didn't enjoy, with all due respect, because it was just a really big culture clash, honestly speaking, and it was not an environment I wanted to be a part of. When I was working there, I couldn't thrive because it was not an environment that I enjoyed. So I think that you are in charge of and responsible of and in control of your environment. You control what you eat, who you hang out with, where you spend your time. And when I made those shifts, everything changed for me. Listen, I think everyone's passionate about something. Like, I'm not a political person, really. Sometimes for fun, I am because it's always fun to talk about. But in reality, I'm not. Like, I don't watch the news. I'm not into that whole scene. There's certain things that I don't get involved in. Like, for example, like, people go to protests, like, oh my God, there's like really like injustice, like, this country's abusing this people and this people's abusing that people, and it's like far away. And it's like, well, I don't like that. Like, how am I gonna help that? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I see all these people watching the news every day. I'm like, you're not helping any of those issues. You're just watching it as a form of entertainment. So again, what can you control? And just naturally, and I think everyone has this, naturally children dying because they don't have clean water, it just disturbs me. I don't like it. And I'm not like the world's, and if you want me to be completely brutally honest with you, I'm not like the world's greatest dad. I'm more of a really fun uncle, meaning like I have a lot of fun with my kids. I love my kids to death, but I'm not like the super responsible. Okay, kids, eat your vegetables, and all right, well, make sure you're on bed at 8 on the dot. I'm not that like super dad like that. We have a lot of fun together, but I do not like at all children dying from not having clean water. And so I like to build wells because it's a lot of impact and it saves lives and it feels really good to me. And it I mean it's a little emotional to talk about, but it's like, dude, let's save some freaking lives by people who are like we are so spoiled. Like we have endless clean water. It's like these people don't have water and they can't even get educated because they have to go walk like 8 hours a day with big buckets on their head of water just to get something clean. But this is real change that we can make and we have been making. We've built many water wells and a lot of countless lives, and it feels good. It feels right, and I think everyone needs something that fuels them, that they enjoy, and that resonates with them. And look, I don't really care what that is for you, right? And some people have things that I might not necessarily agree with. Like some people, I think there's this lady. She told me she spent like $1 million on like helping cats recover from accidents or something like that. And I'm like, okay, there's like kids dying, but okay. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to like judge, but I mean, that's just really how I feel. But like whatever fuels you in like the philanthropic world to improve the quality of mankind, like, yeah, just go for that. I think my accountant, um, typically we try to give like 10%. Historically, we've tried to give 10% of gross. That was kind of always our goal. And I remember my accountant once is like, "Hey, you give a lot." And I was like, "Oh crap." I'm like, "You guys messed up the numbers." I'm like, "I don't give that much. I give like 10%." And they're like, "No, we did the numbers right." And yeah, that's what it came out to. And but this was a kind of a big accounting firm that dealt with a lot of online entrepreneurs. And they're like, "No, other people don't do that at all." And when she said that, it was like a kick to my throat and a kick to my gut at the same time. I'm like, "Really?" And so I'm like, all right, cool. I guess they don't know. Like that's the key to happiness. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess I got to spread this message. And so I have been ever since. And that was kind of the catalyst that started it really. Yeah. 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 Look, we specialize in organic marketing, really. We mainly because we never figured out paid ads. Honestly speaking, we've made money from it, but nothing serious. It's just something that we never really figured out. But we've done really well organically. And so the way organic marketing works holistically is people buy from those they like and trust. So um, we have always um and that's another reason I just love, you're able to be yourself. I love business because you're able to be yourself and you get to serve who you want to serve, not who you have to serve. If I work at McDonald's and you're a jerk customer, I have to deal with you. But as a business, I can fire you. And so, meaning like a client. And so we've all. Sorry, man, I lost my train of thought. What was your question? Oh yes, yes. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. No, that's the coolest part about and that's why I was talking about organic marketing is because we attract. I mean, people have come into our masterminds and our programs like, dude, this is a really different crowd. And it's because we talk about make more, give more all the time. So we attract that crowd. There's a whole crowd that makes fun of us, right? They're like the Lambo, and all due respect, there's nothing wrong. I had a really nice car too. I'm not making fun of Lambo people, but there's that like Lambo crowds, like for super materialistic. They don't care about giving or they don't understand about giving. They just want to make money and hoard it or whatever, and there's no judgment, there's whatever. Everyone goes through different phases of their life, but they kind of look at us like funny, like make more, give more. What the hell are you talking about? I want to make more, keep more. Like, you know what I mean? So that's one of the keys of organic marketing is you attract a certain crowd and you know repel a different crowd. So everyone who comes in here is very naturally aligned. Uh, Pretty much because in our marketing materials we're like, if you're not, then don't bother joining us, like, because that's what we're all about. So you know it's the marketing is a filtration system, where you get to kind of select the kind of people you get to work with, which is really cool, and I don't think most people understand that. Yeah. You know, if you want me to get really raw and honest with you, man, like one of the issues that we've had over, if I look back at my career now, right? Because we are a rags to riches story, okay? Because we used to live in an electrical closet, you know, with no hot water, no windows, no showers, and because we made it to the top 1% of the game, and that story has over the years attracted a lot of people who are very inspired by that, and they were at a similar spot to where I am, to where I was. The only issue is, man, that here's the truth. Like we don't, we're now like primarily B2B. We help people like who have got something going on. The reality is like if you've never had any success in your life, then it's not because you haven't had the right business formula. It's because you're going through the same issues that I went through. You've got mindset issues, you've got health issues, you've got relationship issues. That's why you're not succeeding. It's not because you don't have the right business formula. So, you know, that's why in our program we try to always include a lot of mindset stuff because I'm like, dude, I can give you on a golden platter, right? I mean, like I've done presentations where I give the entire seven-figure coaching infrastructure. Here's our exact funnels, the exact messaging, the exact sequences, the exact automations, the exact customer journey, the exact sales process, the exact fulfillment process. Here's like nuts and bolts. Here's how you build a seven-figure high like coaching, consulting agency, digital agency, whatever the hell you got going on, business. I can give it to you on a golden platter, but if your mind is screwed up, if you're in a terrible marriage, if you're you know, got some addiction issues and you've got mindset issues, it's useless. It's like lint. It's worthless. So really, people need to take care of that first, which is why we include it in our program. But I think that I would encourage most, you know, and I don't mean this word in a negative way, but I would encourage most, I suppose I could say gurus, or I suppose I could say creators, to understand that and to make that a part of their program. If you're selling to newbies, you know, think about it. Are you trying to set them up for success or are you trying to set them up for failure? Because if you're just selling to a bunch of newbies and you're giving them your formula, what's going to happen is what's happening. And that's 90+% of people are not going to make anything off of it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that culture is broken. Some have called it the hustler culture. Call it what you want. That is a very, very, very broken system. And if you study, you know, there's this fascinating documentary about lottery winners and how all lottery winners end up completely broke. Similarly, if you study a lot of these guys who sell, and particularly we're talking about people who sell to newbies, for example, we'll use that as a micro example. A lot of those guys, most of those guys end up broke. And I believe it's because there's no actually blessings in that model. There's no blessings in that model because you're not, all you're thinking about is how to sell more. You're not thinking about, hey, I sold something to someone. They gave me money, right? How do I like what do I need to do to fulfill, to help them fulfill and help them get success? This mentality of, well, you bought it, it's up to you now, you whether you use it or not. That doesn't work long term. Like, yeah, you'll make a little bit of money short term, but unless you're really thinking and your main number one nucleus in your business is like, okay, how do we get our clients results? no matter if you're in health, wealth, relationships, whatever the hell you do, um, it's not going to last, and it's not going to be fulfilling. Um, so that's just something I've observed over the years. Who helps the newbies? What do you mean? Yeah, listen, it's really, and this one thing I love about business, right? There's no right or wrong, right? It's really you're I consider us, you and I, on entrepreneurs. I consider us artists, and we can create whatever the hell we want. It's a blank canvas. We should build and curate a business that we enjoy doing on a daily basis because we do it by choice, don't we? I mean, look, let's be honest. You don't become wealthy by doing what we do. You know, we're probably rich, you could say. Like coaches, consultants, agencies, you can say that the ones who make it, they're rich. You don't become wealthy doing this stuff. You become wealthy by, founding a software or selling a company and stuff like that. That's real wealth. If you're in this industry, you understand that you're here to serve. Like otherwise, if you wanted to make more money, you're in the wrong industry. If you wanted to make like, 50, 100 million, nobody does this in this industry, generally speaking. You got like Tony Robbins is like the only one. Um, so understand that you're in this industry to serve, number one. Number two, who you serve is completely up to you. If you genuinely have this passion that I want to work with newbies, then you have to understand, well, then I need to structure my fulfillment, particularly for them to succeed, which you need to put a ton of mindset stuff. So even in mine, right? And I work with everybody, to be honest with you. I try to work primarily with B2B. We have very clear filters that, hey, look, if you've never had any success in your life, this is not some like get rich quick and like yes, I know I used to live in a closet and now I have a mansion, blah blah blah, that whole guru crap. But like what I like to do in the beginning when we bring people in the program, we flood them with, call it mindset, but it's really holistic. We teach them the way to eat properly. I mean, there's actually videos of me in the kitchen cooking. How do you eat properly? What are the blessing way of eating? Don't waste food. How do you treat your family? One of our modules is anyone that you haven't forgiven in your family, call them right now and forgive them. Like we take a very holistic approach because like I said, I got to get you right. I got to get your mind, body, and soul right before we even talk about business. And I do that for everybody, including established people. I mean, you talked to a guy yesterday. He had an exit of a company for 15 million. He wants me to help him, with his health business. I still told him step number one, we're going through the mind, body, and soul elevation. No matter who you are. So I recommend that if you have any programming, absolutely include that. Now, the next question might be, well, how the hell do you do that? Two ways. Number one, you can do what I did, and I just did everything based off of my experience. You got videos of me in the gym, teach people how to work out. You got videos of me in the kitchen, teach people how to cook. I did it all myself. You could do that because obviously you're successful, which means you have a good mindset, which means you have a good routine, which means you have good habits, right? So just document that, right? That's what I do. Now, you don't have to do that. You can hire just an expert in that field, and you can either buy their program or you can hire them to build out programming for you in your back end for your clients. But you really got to do that. You really got to do that if you really care about people's success. Yeah. I always like to speak from experience. You know, I in my life, um, majority of my life. Wait, let me think. Let me do some math here. Hold on. What am I? I'm turning 40. Yeah. Well, a big part of my adulthood was just being a bum, right? I never found success until I fell in love with God. I was not a God fearing person. I was a degenerate. Every bad habit you can think of. Was just not a God fearing person, just a crazy, wild party guy. And I never found contentment or peace or success until I fell in love with God. Um, to go deeper, God loves you very much. One of the things that really moved me was when I found out that, you know, just as an example, they said God loves you 80 times more than your mom. And I'm blessed to have a very loving mom. I'm like, wow, my mom really loves me. Like let me get away with anything. She just like she just loves me, and I can do anything and say anything. I'm like, God loves me 80 times more than that. Like for an example, sake, I'm like that really struck me. People say, "Wow, I wish life has an instruction book." It does. Your holy book. I take a look at everything that effed up my life. I take a look at my marriage that almost killed me, and I'm like, did I? Like, because God does teach you how to do all these things. God teaches you how to have a successful business, a successful marriage, successful health, successful mindset. It's all there. All this stuff you read. I just started reading this book. You're not going to believe it. I'm halfway through. It's a classic. I'm embarrassed that I haven't read it before, but it's called the. I mean, everybody. I think everyone knows about it. The Alchemist. So when I read books like this, when I listen to Tony Robbins, when I do all these big things, it's all I'm not taking anything away from anybody, but it's all regurgitated content from your holy books. All of it. All of it. When I look at my failed marriage that almost killed me, we were not doing the things that God recommended to do to have a healthy marriage. In my marriage now, that's fantastic. We do the things that God told us to do. When I was not listening to the way God has taught us to be healthy, I was just fat slob. And then when I started listening, I became a lot healthier, focused, energetic. So whenever I listen to what God tells me, just life is just so much better, clearer, optimized. And when you go against that, that's everything. Everybody like I'm trying to counsel. I'm not a counselor. I'm just doing this like as a favor to somebody. There's a marriage that's just this effed up marriage, man. It's just like so toxic. It's so terrible. They really abuse each other. I'm like, man, you guys are just not listening to God at all. Like you're just doing the opposite of what God said. This is the result. And this is exactly why you guys are so this is such a terrible marriage. And your kids don't even like you now because it's so terrible. And it's like it's because, so that's the lens that I see everything. I'm like, everything that I see that is wrong, it's like, well, you're not following the guidance that God gave you. And all the things that are going right, I'm like, yeah, that's the way God said to do it. So I've lived both sides of the spectrum. I didn't listen for many years and I suffered hard. And then when I took the advice, and there's a lot of granular advice too. God says in his holy books, when you do business with people, do a contract. Before, for example, I didn't do a contract. We had fights or misunderstandings. Well, you said this. I'm like, no, I didn't. They're like, well, shit. Excuse my language, but I'm like, there's no contract. Then when you had a contract, like, well, you said that. I'm like, no, I didn't. Look, it's in the contract. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. No problem. Resolved. That's a very small example, but that is a perfect example that encompasses this kind of umbrella of thought on my experience on all different, aspects of life. It's very I mean, I try not to preach to my clients. I probably end up doing it, but I try not to be respectful because I'm like, I don't want to like you didn't sign up for preaching. You signed for you signed up for me to grow your business in 7 figures. But in essence, that's what it does anyway, to be honest with you. People don't know. I don't mention it, but if someone was to study my program, you will see because I don't quote like any of the religious texts, right? But a lot of what I teach is based off of, you know, God's word. I just don't quote it because I think that people might not listen then. So, but people who know the book, they're like, hey, dude, I see what you're doing there. I see that you like all your stuff's like, based on like, yeah, because that's what works. And to answer your question, do I feel like you need it? 100% absolutely yes. And that's based off of just my experience and that's based off of what I've seen. And the ones who don't follow it, they're pretty I'm telling you from what I've seen, they're not doing well. And because I'm kind of in that top bracket of the industry, we hang out with the other people. And I'll tell you, the ones who are not following, God's advice, they might seem like they're doing fantastic on social media, but I'll tell you behind the scenes, man, they are suffering hard. I mean, you've had people that you'd be shocked, and I will not mention names. I'll protect their privacy, but you have people who have very, very serious problems, very, very serious problems. People, and some have made, I mentioned publicly, suicidal. You think they're making all the money in the world. They're the top of the industry in our industry that we're discussing, and then they finally came out with this. And dude, I've actually been suicidal. Um, like I said, my observation, people who follow, it's actually a really beautiful thing. People who follow God's word, they're doing really well, and the ones who are not are suffering. That's my observation. Well, truthfully, I mean, if you want to be like really raw and honest about it, I have been doing content every day. I write content for the past 5 6 years. I write my own content. I write it every single day, rain or shine. I've been in the hospital with a broken leg. I've had bronchitis. I've had can I don't know if you're even allowed to say the C word. I don't know, but I've had that disease. And whatever the hell is going on, travel the world, whatever. I do content every day. It's not easy to put out quality content every single day. I know you do some AI stuff, and that's pretty cool. But sometimes, like I said, as entrepreneurs, we're artists. Sometimes you, I am a product of my environment. Have to be very protective of my environment. I'll give you an example. I have a nice office in Dallas. It's on the lake, high ceilings, cement floors. And some of my family, like, you idiot, why are you spending all this money on this office? Like, like, but the thing about them is they're not affected by their environment. They can work in some like dump and they're totally cool. But my environment affects me a lot, so I need to protect that. Currently in Australia, I'm not in the world's greatest environment, and I'm just gonna be really real because I hope it helps people. My father-in-law passed away, and I'm in my in-laws' house because my wife's dealing with all that. Helping with the estate and stuff, and it's just not a good environment for me. Being in that environment. So it's been challenging to create quality content over the past couple of weeks. So that was a little bit of a lazy engagement post where I just saw someone else post something similar. And then I didn't give it much thought just because I was not in the creative mindset. And so I just, I mean, I definitely have strong opinions about, you have to understand this, the statistics are disgusting. Um, like 50% of married people cheat. So when if you say that no, if you say the argument's ridiculous that men and women can never be just friends, well, I mean that's factually, there's proof that look at all these people cheating and getting divorced. I have clients who make a crap ton of money, um, counseling couples who've cheated on each other and trying to have them reconcile. Um, so Look, I think it's a very serious topic, actually. I think it's a very fine line. Why do I think it's a serious topic? Because divorce, because I've been through it, is one of the worst things in the world. It affects dramatically so many people. I mean, if you want me to be really real and raw with you, I have a sister who I believe is not married, and I believe partly because she saw what a traumatic time I went through. If you want me to be very real with you. So when I say the ripple effect of divorce is profound. Thank God we didn't have kids. When you have kids, it's so much worse. So divorce, unfortunately, is so common. 50% of people get divorced. One of the main reasons for divorce is people cheating, men and women being friends. Is it impossible? No. I mean, I do have some colleagues. I think they have to be very clear. You know, I think it's kind of a very deep topic and a very serious topic that I don't think should have like a snippet, because one of the most sacred things that we have is our marriage, and if we do well at that, you're gonna live a good life. Like, I actually was talking to this lady the other day too, another couple who's having a lot of problems. This dude doesn't make a lot of money. I was like, and she doesn't like that at all. I was like, and I say this with love. I'm like, can you curse on this show or no? Okay, I was like, "You dumbass." I'll be PG. I'm like, "You dumbass." Like, I would love if this guy married my sister. Like, I don't care that he doesn't have any money. He's a great guy. He's got great character. He's a wonderful human being. Um, and so, the point is, if you have a great marriage, you're gonna have a pretty good life. And why say I'm always about setting yourself up for success. Why put yourself in a position where you're tempted. I don't I mean, I probably can't like legally say this, but I'll say it anyway. But like, am I going to hire a drop dead gorgeous woman to work with me daily, intimately in building my business? No, I'm not, um, because when people have to understand there's a chemistry that when you're building something together and you're building that with someone as my right hand man, and we're building that together, there's this bond that you create, that that's dangerous. Why put yourself in that position? Why put yourself in that position? Um, so I think holistically, we need to set ourselves up for success. We need to protect our marriage, and we need to, because the devil's strong. The devil, his number one job, devil don't watch Netflix. He don't use the bathroom. He don't do anything. He don't sleep 24/7. He's got one job: to F you up, to mess you up, to cause problems with you and your wife and your business. Uh, you know what I mean? So we have to be aware of these things. We have to be very aware of these things. So I think if you're talking about being friends with the opposite sex, look, is it possible? Probably. I mean, do I have female colleagues that I talk to online that I like and they like me, and I guess I don't know how you would define a friend. Like, do I hang out alone with other women? No, I'm not going to put myself in that position. Do we have Zoom calls with female entrepreneur colleagues that are brilliant, that I really respect and admire, and that we help each other out? Oh, I do. I definitely do. Like, Rachel Miller is an industry leader. She's fantastic. I really like her a lot. We talk a lot about business and religion. There's a lot of other women that as well, that I have that kind of, I suppose, business relationship with. But I think we should take it very seriously, because we want to protect one of the best things in our life, which is your marriage. I hope so. I don't know. Okay. My favorite foods was cheap meals lasagna. In school, unfortunately, I didn't really have one. One of the biggest mistakes in my life that I would like to tell everyone, and I try to do for my kids, is to give them mentors. I didn't really have one, and I think that really throttled my success. And why I had success later on in life is when I started getting mentors much later in life. And I wish I got it much earlier, but I didn't have any growing up. Recently, well, the other day, my mother-in-law said that you need to wear a belt because I can see your underwear. She said that in front of everyone. That was kind of embarrassing. I don't embarrass easily, but yeah, that was a little embarrassing. Sorry? God first, family second, business third. Um, God, anything by Mariah Carey. Um, Organic marketing, probably like a honey pot post, two-step post from like, "Hey, do you want this freebie thing?" And they say yes, and then a setter qualifies them and puts them through our VSL, and the VSL on the back end is a phone call, and the salesperson probably closed them. You get, day of judgment. I'm sorry? Well, I deleted, Facebook, which was probably would be the number 1, or Facebook Messenger. I deleted both of those because it was wasting too much of my time. I deleted TikTok. I deleted Gmail. I spent a lot of time on all those apps. Um, so I use it now probably, Candy Crush or, ESPN, or probably, or YouTube. Probably YouTube. Uh, more Akbar Sheikh is, well, basically, I can give you want like a gift? Should I give like a gift? Is that appropriate? Well, I got listen, I have a demo on like I've always had this mentality, man. Like, do we have time for a quick story? 30 seconds, never mind. Just here, I'll give you an awesome gift. I won't even tell you what it is. Well, here, I'll tell you. It's basically a blueprint, a map where you can copy and paste into your business, whether you're a coach, consultant, or agency, to scale to 7 figures. It's a couple automations you can just paste right in. So you just go to akbarshik.com/gift. Gosh, life is so beautiful. I mean, really, you can make any amount you want. You can do anything you want. You can fulfill any which way you want. Um, you don't need money. I started out without money. You don't need to be the absolute best in what you do. You just need to want it badly enough. And I think if you have a good North Star and you want to make more to give more, being an entrepreneur is such a beautiful thing. You get to serve who you want to serve, how you want to serve them, and live the life that of your choosing. So just embrace that blessing, and just whatever you do, for God's sakes, there's only one way you fail at this. There's only one, and that's if you quit. So please don't give up, and eventually it'll get pretty beautiful. No, thank you.